welcome back to yet another Armory 3D tutorial episode. Now today I'm going to talk about sound effects. Now this is a great, it's a very important thing when creating a game, because the sound effects is what's going to boost your game to the next level. Good sound effects makes a good game, but before that, as you can see, we have an error message saying that the rotate node has been updated and that we just need to replace it with the newest version. So if we go to the player trait that we add there where we use the rotate node right here to rotate the wheels, we can actually see that it has already spawned all the nodes that we need, but we don't need those, so we can just delete them and we can add them in ourselves. So what we need to do is, as you can see, this is the on update, which is going to rotate our tires. The tire being cylinder 8. I should probably have renamed those meshes, but who renames meshes? So what we can do is, I don't know why I did that, we can grab the next rotate object node, with the latest version I mean, and this node has a bunch more features. Now as you can see, last time when I made this tutorial and I added this node, I said it's very hard to figure out which value corresponding to which axes. So now there are there's a value that you can see, there's an indicator to tell you which axis is which, and it's much easier now to figure out what axis you're going to influence your object on. I can't speak, I'm sorry. So let's just grab the cylinder number 8 as it was, and now that's basically what you need to do. Now just duplicate that and we'll change the name for all the rest of the objects. As you can see, that one is cylinder 6, so we can grab cylinder 6 and delete that one, and then continue. And now as you can see, all of the values, all of the rotate nodes have been updated. Now we can get on to what this tutorial was all about, that being sound effects. So today, first of all, we're going to start off by adding sound effects for the explosion, because that seems to be the most important one. So let's go and grab a speaker. We can move it out so we can see what we're doing, and we can actually rename this to like boom, maybe, because it's an explosion. Now we can open up the sound file that I already have in the explosion tab, and it's a wave file, because Armory does not yet support MP3. If you try an MP3 file, Armory won't launch, it won't be happy. So what we're going to do is use a wave file. It does have a few more supports for audio files, and there we go. Now what we're going to do is actually set the minimum volume to 1, because our game is a flat game, as in there's no depth, because we're not actually moving forwards, we're actually staying in one place. So we don't need a 3D distortion or a imitation of depth or anything like that, because we're not moving, or at least not forwards. And once we have that, we can actually just duplicate it and make sure this is changed to fuel, which is the one. It's just like a little ding, just to tell the user that yes, you have actually collided with the fuel tank. Just a indicator, and we can call this one fuel. And obviously just make sure that the sound file contains the latest sound that you want, because that is what we're going to actually play. We're going to say play this speaker, and so the program's going to look at what the speaker's title is, even though you can have multiple. So let's just talk about that for a second. Let's go and grab the gas file, because it's the lightest, and over here we have a bunch of events, mostly triggered by the on contact, and that is what we're going to plug into our speaker into, because it's when the object collides or comes into contact with the car, that is when we want the audio to be played, to tell the user that it has come in contact with it, because it's going to remove the object right here. So we can plug the out into the in of the speaker, and obviously select which speaker it is. It will be speaker 2 right here. Obviously for some reason it does not update the names of the speaker, because as you can see the audio oh wait, that's the objects mesh. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just being an idiot. You shouldn't rename the, for some reason What's that? I renamed the audio file. That's the audio file. I don't know what that is. What's this? I'm sorry, I'm just learning things on the bat. I feel like I'm 6 months into learning Armory 3D, just making tutorials again. So yes, you should probably rename them in the actual object data tab, logically. That's where we should rename it to fuel, and I'm just going to leave the other one at speaker or whatever. So there we go. Now that we have that object renamed and the fuel is the one that's going to be played, we can go over to bomb. And bomb over here has a lot more things going on, but we've already covered all of this in a previous tutorial and it's not that hard. So we can grab the play speaker audio, play the speaker's audio here, and we can select the second one. Okay. And now obviously it's going to play the speaker, but as you can see there aren't a lot of things to control what's going on, and the reason being because we don't really need it. Speakers, playing the speaker's audio directly is usually used to play sound effects which are very short, maybe a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, but not usually any longer. So if you wanted to play a sound effect, a speaker is great. If you want to play an entire song, you should probably use the play sound node. Which is something I'm going to talk about in just a second. But let me explain why we're using... Well, first let me explain why we're using different versions, different instances of that speaker. Because if we're going along with a car, you know, brum 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 brum, and we collide with this fuel tank, yay, we get refueled, and it's going to play a little diddling sound to tell the player that yes, you have collided with that fuel tank. So that's going to be this speaker being played. But then a few milliseconds later, we're going to collide with this bomb. And then it's going to play the explosion animation that we went over in the previous tutorial. But it's also going to play the explosion sound. That's why I need to play it from the second one. If we didn't actually have the second one, then it would play it from the first one. Well, it would try to play it from the first one at least. But since it was already trying to play this fuel sound, it will the program is going to ask it to play 2 different sounds at the same time, and it's not going to like it because it's only got 1 speaker. So it's going to freak out and it's going to crash your program. And I've just re-imported those. Okay. Now to deal with the ambient sound or soundtracks, we can actually just duplicate this file and open up our sound. So I'm going to grab the Alabama sound, and we can also turn the volume down a little bit because it will probably be quite loud. We only want it to be a slight background music. And in the Armory props, we're going to press play from start and loop it, even though we probably won't finish the song, but it doesn't really matter. Now if we play the actual file, you should notice that the sound effects do work and the audio also works. And as you can see, we have some beautiful country music going on in the background, and we have a small zip sound effect, we have our explosion, and we are almost good to go. Okay, now if you notice something, we had our sound effects, we had obviously the music in the background. It was still quite loud for my taste actually. You can also turn that down a bit, 0.6 maybe. And the trouble thing is the sound effect. The tile sheet does not actually move forwards, and I think I'm gonna dedicate an entire video, an entire episode to do fixes on like the vehicle and the art style and like the simple mechanics that should be updated and bettered, and I'm going to show you a bunch of ways to get more control of your scene, because there are a bunch of small problems like this that probably should have their own episode to do, like a small fix-up episode. So that's one that I'm going to do in the future. I'm not sure when I'll get round to it, because I have just been working on the latest Armory 3D game jam. I've also been working on a lot of idea projects, such as one that I'll talk to in the future. That's going to be starting to come out very soon in October. So just so you know, I have school and everything. Luckily it's my last year, but then again, unluckily it is my last year, so I have a lot of work to do. meaning that it's harder for me to dedicate more time to Armory 3D, but I am trying my best. So that's all I have to say for this video. Thank you very much for watching, hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one.